Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Second Guessing with Stressan, and I'm your host, Garrett Williams, aka Texans commentator. I am sorry for the delay, a little late getting the girls to bed, and I kind of been watching a little bit of the World Baseball Classic. So if you see me veering off, that's why. Or if you see anything, just let me know. They're down 2-0 right now to Venezuela in the bottom of the eighth with the runner on first and two outs. So, but yeah, man, my boy Nick Casario. I didn't mean to do it like this, but yeah, I got my Casario shirt on, but I was cold, so I put my jacket on. But boy Casario, shout out Sammy Franco. It's a shirt he made. I partnered with him to kind of get some more eyes on it, but maybe this shirt is more in vogue now after today. I had faith. I understood, the concerns and, the lack of faith for them making moves like that. I can't lie. Like that was in the back of my head based off of what we saw last year with the way they did the O-line. But as y'all saw on here, I think there were some factors to it. I think that they couldn't just flip that O-line. Sorry. Clear my throat there. I think they couldn't flip that whole O line in just 1 year. I think it was and they're still, it's maybe a 2 to 3 year deal, but last year they had to trade Laramie Tunsil. This year they traded Titus Howard. They couldn't trade both of them the same year and flip it all. And I'm watching the game, and we just hit a 2-run jack to tie the game. Let's go, Bryce Harper. Oh my gosh, Dude, I'm sorry. I know it's football, it's Texans, Wyatt Teller, but Bryce Harper, first homer of the tournament, 2-run homer. It is now tied 2-2. That is sick. But yeah, so back to Casario. Like me saying that I understand that, the lack of trust or faith in him to address the O-line. I do think there is context. And last year there was different constraints. You couldn't flip it all in 1 year. You offloaded a big cap hit, and Laramie Tunsil got, some draft capital in return, and like the culture is part of it too. Like they mentioned that D'Amico, as far as maybe work ethic and style, and a big part of it too is you're shedding off not only guys that were here before that you got here like Laramie and Titus, but also guys that you got while you were here. I know, dude. I'm like so distracted. I see like the Harper homer, which is sick, but I wish I can just play it on here. I don't want them to dock me for sorry, this is bad. Now Judge is up. I can't help myself. Lost my train of thought. The damn baseball classic. I know I should have waited, but anyhow, I was talking about Casario and the O-line. And and so the other part of it too was, shedding off guys that were here from the previous era. There's also the fact that he was drafting for a whole different scheme, the Bobby Slowick wide zone scheme. And a scheme, I might add, that he apparently has no experience in doing. He's been in the Patriot system this whole time, which is this downhill gap duo scheme, like big physical maulers, as opposed to smaller, more cerebral, agile guys. So it could have been a mix of, guys like Scruggs and Patterson, Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green was actually, that was just a separate one because I think it was before Slowick. Obviously, that was just a bust. But yeah, so I mean, some of these picks you have to consider, like currently, we traded Scruggs, Patterson's still on the roster, which I'll dive into now, what that means for him going forward with the Titus Howard or with the Wyatt Teller signing. I already thought after we signed Evan Brown, it was already kind of a writing on the wall potentially. And then Blake Fisher comes into question potentially. But yeah, let me get some of the comments and get a pulse check. But yeah, man, I got the Casario tee on. Like, this is a move that everybody wanted. Man, and at first, when we re-signed Ed Ingram, I assumed this meant that he was off the board because he's been a career right guard his whole career. But then Aaron Wilson reports, about a week ago that he heard from his agent that Wyatt's open to playing left guard so he can use his other arm and hand. And he's a stud, bro. Like, I know the last couple years may not have been quite up to his standard, but he's kind of battled injuries, scheme and team and surroundings. That all makes a difference. Aaron Wilson, shout out Aaron, also reported too that, the interest was between CJ and Wyatt, and they kind of made that happen. So, Get to some comments, and we'll dive more into the Wyatt deal. I'll try and retouch on some of the stuff I missed between last week and now. There's the David Montgomery restructure, Evan Brown signing, a couple other moves that we can touch on. But Life of Colby, hold me accountable, says Garrett, you're late, bro. LOL. Yes, I'm sorry. Brian Herrera says this changes us big time, bro. My guy Dime says let's LFG. Sup, y'all. Primo looks. Shout out Primo. We up H-Town. Yes, sir. Primo, hope you're doing good. Rishi says, what up, Stressans? What's up, Rishi? How you doing, brother? And we got Tylo, GR Money, Tylo, H-Town Made. Yes, sir. Rishi, Harper out of nowhere. Brandon, probably quiet in here because Aaron Wilson has been going for a while. Well, I started late. Anything good from Aaron's live? And my schedule's been kind of hectic lately. Like, obviously, I usually go Wednesday, but I went today because of the news from Wyatt Teller. But also, I think it works out to my wife is going to the rodeo tomorrow, and I have the girls, so I may go live again tomorrow. We'll see. But shout out Matthew Doverspike on Facebook. The Texans are cooking. Facts. Product of the H. We're set up nicely going to the draft. Dude, we were set up so damn good. Shout out Product of the H. Real quick on IG, get to those comments. Appreciate y'all. Again, as always, I try to get to both, but if you want your comment to be read and I can actually show it on the screen, the best way to do that is through YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm still working on super chats. It's been a work in progress for a while. And also, my website, HoustonStressans.com, been, putting out a bunch of articles. I'll show you on a little bit too, but I redid the video page, organized playlist by interviews, mic'd up, like different categories. And then I got playlists for players too, like Tank Dell, CJ, Will, David Montgomery. We got highlights, and I have like an NFL draft prospect. So I try to like aggregate videos that I think that you would like as Texans fans. You can just watch them all right there. Obviously the cap calculator where you can, figure out the latest cap, which we'll dive into, the free agency tracker, which we'll dive into. And then now the tool we'll probably start using more now is the draft visit tracker as well. So shout out Texans Takeover. He's, we work together on that. Let's see here. Ellis, my first name, says all is well. Dad, thanks for the win. Yes, sir. That's right. He said what's going on. And then who else we got? We got Adam Matt07 says hi. Hello, brother. And we got Ellis says, I'm excited about the O-line signings. I'm having a hard time determining the quality of the O-line we're signing. I think they're good. Wyatt, I mean, if Wyatt can be rejuvenated, you also throw in now Cole Popovich gets to work with this guy. And I do think that he is better suited for a downhill gap scheme. He's a bigger guy. And in Cleveland, they kind of ran some more zone stuff, more than what we'll run here. And then also, too, when you look at when you just look at like PFF splits or grades, when you look at zone and gap, that's good. But like, there's also like subsects of gap. Like, we don't run a lot of the pulling plays like power with like a tackle pulling or counter with a tackle and a guard pulling. It's more so just duo, which is double teams and downhill, just get off the ball and go. And so you can't just look at it blindly. I do need to look at, I think I have some access where I can start to like deep dive into grades grades are subjective too on top of that with PFF. But I'm pretty sure I have access to a tool where I can look at grades like by actual run types, like all those run types I mentioned. So we can see, okay, hey, how is this guy in duo, not just gap in general? Like, oh, okay, yeah. But at the very least too, like what I was saying, what we were all saying is go get Wyatt Teller or Joel Bitonio, a veteran left guard, and someone that will, at the very least, your floor is a solid starter, better than what Laken Tomlinson was last year. This is way different than the moves from last year. This is way different. The Laken Tomlinson signing, they wanted him to be what Wyatt Teller is going to be for us. Wasn't even close. He was on the end of his career going down. Wyatt still got plenty in the tank and has had a better career overall in general. So, but what you did now is you set it up to where, like, if you were to walk in day one of the drafts and you came out with no picks, O-line, or the picks weren't ready, you have a solid five with even with depth too, with Evan Brown now and versatility and optionality, guys that can play multiple spots. Wyatt Teller is projected to play left guard. So right now the current projection would be Ariante Urstry at left tackle, Wyatt Teller at left guard. At center would be Jake Andrews. Some people are saying potentially Evan Brown. But to me, I would think it's Jake Andrews right now. And then right guard, you would have Ed Ingram. And then right tackle, you would have, sorry, baseball just caught my eye again. Right tackle, you would have Braden Smith, who we just signed as well. And you would have Trent Brown as the backup there. And so, yeah, Blake Fisher's did I say Blake Fisher's the backup on the left side? So you got good depth. Evan Brown can play left guard and center, could probably play right guard too. Like I mentioned, Teller's a career right guard. If he needed to play right guard or something happened, he could play right guard. Or Ed Ingram, he's played right guard only in his college career. Did we just throw him out a second? Sorry. Got the corner of my eye here. They just stole a base on us. That's not good. But yeah, so as far as Ed Ingram, he's a career right guard in his 4, 5, 6 seasons in the pros, but all his career in college was only a left guard. So he could probably play left guard. You still have Jarrett Patterson, which I think there could be a move there potentially, if not now, by the end of camp. He can play center and both guard spots. Who knows? Could Fisher become a guard if need be? He could play both tackles. Urshry can play both tackles. Braden Smith can play guard. Right guard is what he played in college. He's played right tackle in the pros. So he's got versatility and optionality there. Trent Brown's a tackle, but could probably play both, probably best at right. Who knows? Maybe could he play guard? The point is, and I know it's something that we all hate and it's annoying, but to me, it's kind of sound. Let's see. Is he out? He might be out. The review and the steal over there. I know it's annoying about having guys play everywhere, but like we saw it last year where, it helped us. I think the issue, I think the frustrations with not playing guys at certain spots and moving them around got misplaced with the actual talent and depth. Like that was the issue. The talent and depth wasn't that good. So Trent Brown being out and then that now moving things around is, yes, there was a domino effect, but that was more an indictment on your depth and your talent that you had. Now, because you're going to have these things. Like football is a physical sport. In the trenches, it's freaking super physical. You're going to have guys miss time. So injuries are going to happen. You're going to have to shuffle guys. Some guys may not pan out or whatever. Like a bunch of stuff could happen. So you need to prepare for that. And I'm just going to say now, too, it's going to happen again, and it should, last spring. And we all have – so I just listed what the projected deal would be, and I would assume that would be their mindset going in is like, if all goes well, this is how we want it to be. But I guarantee you their mindset is we're not married to this. Like if all of a sudden we do this and Wyatt's not liking left guard, then we'll change it up. Or if someone's struggling here or injury or whatever, they are willing to change it up. But they are also in the spring, they use these OTAs, which will be coming up here pretty soon before we know it. They use those times to use that as like your guinea pig era or trial period to get guys at different spots to get them to bank those reps. And we saw it last spring after the draft. Who's going to play here? Who's playing there? And like, oh gosh, is that a double? Yeah, that's a double in the gap. They just scored. We're down 3-2. Looked like a homer off the bat. Anyhow, so back to the O-line Texans, and I'm so sorry if you're listening to the podcast later or anybody, just the scatterbrain looking at the baseball game. I'm sure it may be annoying, but anyhow, so the versatility in that training camp, my point was it can be annoying, but doing it in the spring is like a proactive approach because in the end we end up having guys play different spots. So I think it's. Let me clear my throat quick. I'm on mute. I don't want you guys to have to hear it. All right. Appreciate it. Yeah, I went live, last Monday or Tuesday. It was like after doing yard work and got sinus ever since then. And now it's just been like annoying as hell. It's the worst. But yeah, so I don't know if I quite finished my thoughts there, but let's just get to some comments. And let's see what we got. We got Eric Schmidt. What up? Definitely blessing. Think Nick will trade back or go crazy and trade up for Sadiq. I don't know, dude. he could do anything. I mean, as my guy mentioned above, let's see, product of the H, we're in a great spot. We're in a great spot, bro. Like, there's really no dire needs. Like, now, if you had to pick, it would probably be interior defensive line. And even then, that's just a rotational three tech that you're looking for. It's not a starter. Like, there's no starter holes. We address running back. We address left guard. We address right guard. We address right tackle. We address right tackle depth. We address interior O line depth. We got a new starting strong safety in Reed Blankenship. We re-signed EJ Speed. We got a blocking tight end in Foster Moreau. We got a punter, which that could be a wild card. We'll see how that goes. But Casario's been busy, man. I mean, there's not a lot of needs. So, I mean, this truly is a best player available draft. And I guess it all depends on their value and what they think about trading up. Like, if there's somebody they're in love with, could they trade up? Yes. Or if the board falls to where we don't like who's here, could they trade back? Yes. So, like, it's going to be annoying. Like, my opinion and analysis on the draft now is going to be like, whatever. Like, I could see that. I could see this. Before, I was like tied in, per se, I was like, oh, we have to get a blocking tight end with upside. But now it's like we kind of got that essentially with Foster Moreau in a sense. So it's like now I could see us getting the future replacement for Schultz and getting somebody that's more of a receiver that needs to work on blocking. Like, I obviously Sadiq trade up, or Stour, somebody that I thought might not have been like a good person to draft potentially because of that. Now he's in play. Like, they're all in play, bro. I mean, another one that would come up would be a rotational edge rusher is what we need, like that third or fourth string rotational edge rusher. Because obviously I think Logan Hall is great, but he's like that Danico Autry flex, so he can kind of be viewed like that. But I do think that there needs to be depth and the eventual replacement for Daniil Hunter. And we're still, 2 years away from him and Schultz to have to replace, but you could get out in front of that now and get someone that can start to get reps and develop. I mean, those would be two great spots. So it is an awesome spot to be in, dude. It's insane. And then let's see, Brandon says Wyatt's going to be more motivated in Houston than the last 2 years in Cleveland. I would imagine, dude. I mean, I would imagine, like, one, you're in the cold, shitty, crappy weather. And then two, you're just year in, year out losing. It probably gets old, man. And then like sometimes just in general, regardless, like a change of scenery helps. Brandon says, yeah, one more signing made a big change to the landscape. That is funny, though, because you literally sign one player, now everything changes, like the opinions, the feelings. But it helps your approach in the draft. It makes you less predictable. Other teams don't know what we're going to do. Whereas if you didn't address left guards, like, oh, they need a left guard, they're going to go guard here. So I would say, too, like for me, I've been saying this, and I don't think it's been as popular. Maybe it's starting to change a little bit, but I could see them going to get a veteran slot receiver, and I really want them to go get Keenan Allen. And we'll get into just in just a second the cap space and the numbers we have, and what you should have for the draft, and sometimes you have like a reserve fund for the season for injury, stuff like that. Potential moves to make, potential signings, all that good stuff. So Brandon says, I think Casario saw the top end guards in this draft would end up getting stolen before us again. So I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat. I'm trying to do it like not loud. That brings up a point to me too, is that's true. Last year we got sniped. We got sniped on Booker. He was, all these mock drafts we did for months was going in the second round sometimes, and he got taken 12, 13, 14 by the Cowboys. Donovan Jackson got sniped right before us. Gray Zabel was going in the second in mock drafts. He got taken in the early 20s by the Seahawks. And so he insulated himself from that. And so maybe he can have the same approach where he can sit and hopefully it falls to him. But I also do think there's the element, like obviously I mentioned, the other factors is it's not like just a 1 year reset. It's a 2 year reset, offloading the other guys, offloading, the guys you inherited, offloading the scheme misfits that are zone that aren't gap. And then also the cap, well, the big thing too was last year we had more holes on the roster. And so And then that combined with cap space, which I don't know the exact number, but it felt like the cap wasn't that great. And then if you're using that cap to fill their positions, like how much cap do you have for the O line? And also the market too. Maybe the market wasn't as great in the free agency as O line either. Like the guys we got, dude, we got deals. Like we got Ed Ingram for a steal. We got Wyatt Teller for a steal. We got Braden Smith for a steal. We got Trent Brown, pretty good deal. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of money on a lot of good pieces. But so the other thing to remember about the O line and why it's taking longer and maybe they didn't do it as well last year was also the needs and the cap space. So I forgot where I was going with that point. Ultimately, I need to get this baseball game out of the off the corner of my vision here. It's distracting me. And but we were talking about, yeah. So I also think too that another element to maybe potentially Casario being seemingly more aggressive. To me, this is all in for him. Like, you paying a decent amount to Wyatt, a decent amount to Braden, even though he got good value on all three, and Ed and Trent. To me, this is his version of going all in, a smart, methodical, but like loading the position. But you can't help but think that, we all said it to said too, and I thought in my head, like, okay, if he takes a similar approach to the O line this year as he did last year and doesn't really take it that serious, and the Texans do okay and then end up losing second round, same kind of fashion where O line, I know CJ played bad, but like O line is really a big reason why we weren't great and was a big, weakness, then he's on the hot seat, potentially fired. So he probably realizes, like, I don't think that this is really what happened, but it's probably part of it. I don't think this was like the ultimate thing to make him do it. I think it was more the other factors I mentioned, like cap and getting rid of guys and all that stuff. But I think it is certainly part of it. Like he also feels that pressure, like I have to do this, like even if I don't think so. And you wonder too, like, is there pressure from the McNairs? Like, hey, fix the O line, bro, or you're on the hot seat, So regardless, I understood a lot of the apprehension of like, wait to see it. I had faith, even though it was in the back of my mind a little bit. Regardless, we're all blessing. We're all happy. It's a relief. And then now the outlook going forward, I wrote an article on it. Let's see here. I'll pull up my article and kind of use that to see if I kind of hit on some of these points that I talked in the article already. But let me see here once. All right. We're going to go to, so if you go to my site, HoustonStressans.com, and you go to news, and I got to share my screen so y'all can see what I'm looking at. What might help a little bit. There we go. And so I wrote one on Wyatt Teller. I was kind of doing like the breaking news articles just to like help with SEO, but it's just too much to like write it right away. And I think people actually like, people don't really read those. I think they want to like see analysis. So I try and wait and get information. And when I do write these too, I try to include like all the tweets and videos. So it's like everything you need, boom, right here. But yeah, so I'm gonna scroll through and just kind of see if I missed on any topics on this. Wyatt Teller didn't even mention the contract. So per Aaron Wilson, it's a 2-year, $23 million max value at the $16 million base. So 23 divided by 2, that's, under like 16 and a half. But did I do that right? $16 million base. I'm tripping. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get up my calculator, which is embarrassing. 23 divided by 2, 11.5. I am so dumb. But that's max. So there's like incentives, obviously. So I believe, I'll have to look up the numbers. We'll go to the cap, but like, I think like as low as 8 up to 11 potentially, but still, I mean, whatever it turns out to be, hey, I love it. But the other part of it will be, you talked about the approach being different, all the different factors why. And so the signings, maybe we talked about that. Ian Rappaport made this point. He said the Texans have signed several offensive linemen this offseason: Trent Brown, Ed Ingram, Braden Smith, Wyatt Teller, and Evan Brown. All teams value these things differently, but combined, Teller and Smith cost less than Titus Howard, who they traded to Cleveland. So think about that. You just replaced Titus with Teller and Smith. And that's not to mention that was the cost that we had him at, not the new contract that he got. Um, I'm sorry, dude. This sinus stuff is so annoying, and I keep wanting to clear my throat, but I'm trying not to make annoying noises, and I am being more annoying by talking about it. But so yeah, the cap kind of has a fallout. So right now we're at approximately 13 million, which we can open the cap here in a second. Talked about the current outlook. Where there's Brandon Thorne, who is a well-respected trenches analyst. Here was his. We got his number 1 and number 3 offensive line free agents this year. Number 1 was Braden Smith, and number 3 was Wyatt Teller. 31 years old. He says Teller has dealt with knee and calf injuries over the past 2 seasons, missing 4 games across 2024 and 2025. And his recovery quickness has dipped slightly during that stretch. That has contributed to a perception that his play is in decline. In reality, the downturn has been overstated relative to his placement in the right guard hierarchy. So it's all relative in injuries. And then he says, he remains a physically imposing, powerful interior presence with very good movement ability for his frame. Teller continues to create displacement in the run game, which is what we need, particularly on pulls. I would like to see more pulling, angled drive blocks, and double teams. We do a lot of those, where his strength and athleticism allow him to generate movement on his own. In pass protection, his technique can run hot and cold, particularly with late or erratic hand placement. But he still has the length and play strength to match up with most interior rushers when square. Scheme context has also mattered. A heavier pass volume and unstable offensive environment over the past 2 seasons put more true drop back stress on him than in prior years. Great point. Context matters. Even so, he remains a good starter with the physical traits to rebound into top 10 form if placed in a more balanced system. What? And you got Cole Popovich, bro. If the market cools due to age and recent injuries, there's a legitimate short-term upside for a team willing to bet on his power profile holding into his early 30s. Again, Brandon Thorne, another top-ranked guy, says, like, here's a great value pick. Casero got both of them. He loves value, bro. So there's that snippet there. Let me get to some comments real quick. Let's see. And time to get Jennings Dunker as offensive guard, says Joe Kalungna on Facebook. I would love that. That's my guy, dude. Brendan Montgomery. I hope they let Evan Brown and Jake Andrews have a true competition at center. Best man wins. So me personally, I don't know that they got Evan Brown to compete for center. I think he's depth and maybe could. Like, I think he may be at or around Jake's level, or maybe Jake is slightly better. Who knows? I still think they draft a center and should draft a center. I have a hunch that they like Pat Coogan, but there's also plenty of other good centers. And a lot of those guys are versatile as well. So regardless, our options are better. And let's see. We got Rishi says, if I'm being completely honest, we still have issues on the O-line. The Teller signing changes little. Teller wasn't good at all last season. Well, I guess I kind of addressed that with Brandon's. And then, yeah, we can still address center in the draft. Stressans talking about baseball, says Texans takeover. Yep. Let's see. I went away from it. Are we in the, it's still 3-2. But we'll get over here. Let's see. KJ Scallon says, I still think they need to get a round 1 offensive weapon and round 2 to 3 for O-line, D-line. They truly can go best player available. They don't have to say, hey, we need this position in the first round. You know, sometimes I think I'm more of a need guy typically early on when you have glaring needs, but there's no glaring needs. Thor says, do you think the O-line is better this year than last year's O-line? It's not even a question, dude. It's not even a question. Like, it's not even a question. Ursery, year 2, he's going to be better already. Hit the ground running, full offseason, rookie stuff behind him, left tackle. Okay, yeah, that's improved. Left guard, you have Wyatt Teller as your left guard over Laken Tomlinson, over Jarrett Patterson, over Titus Howard, over, I think Juice Scruggs might have played a little bit. Over all those guys. Center, you have Jake Andrews. Year 2, who was basically a rookie last year. So you would think that he's going to be better in his second year in the league. And same for Ursary, second year, and Andrew's second year, but also second year in this system, a different system, different technique, different coaching. And so second year in that. Right guard, Ed Ingram. He should be better his second year in this system. He was in different systems with KOC and the Vikings his first 3-4 years, comes to the Texans, thrives in this. Everyone thought he was not good. Turns out he's really good, needs to improve on pass blocking, but you would think that he improves. And now you got Braden Smith, who is a stud, dude. Like, he'll be a great pick too. I mean, he should be a better fit for us in the gap stuff. So, yeah, the O-line's way better. And then the big part for the O-line, too, like I mentioned earlier, was the depth. Trent Brown is now from starting tackle in the linchpin to your swing tackle. Blake Fisher is your fourth tackle and, can play left tackle, right tackle, can be jumbo. And now you have Jarrett Patterson on the bubble. You signed Evan Brown. So, yeah, it's way better. I always forget Methan. I believe it's Methan Weber. LFG, Texans making some big moves, starting to get excited about the draft and the season. Yes, sir. Everyone like the stream says Texans take over. That would be appreciated. Thor, got to get Lee Hunter. He's a beast. He is a dog indeed. Rishi says centers are number one need, then probably defensive tackle, but it's a very BPA draft, although I still want them to get an offensive lineman early. Yeah, so if center is your number one need, there's not really a first-round center. I mean, I feel like you can get probably the best center in the second round. Brandon Aaron Wilson made it sound like Derek Barnett is asking for a lot on the market and no teams are biting. I wouldn't be surprised. So I kind of figured he was not going to be re-signed because he would have his value ramped up. So if he can come back to us at a good deal, I would take it. Someone says, I don't trust Nick Caley to not play a vet wide receiver over Noel again. Yeah, so like my logic with like getting Keenan Allen would be, I also don't know what they view of him, whether it's right or wrong. But the past 2 years, they've tried to get a veteran slot. Keenan Allen would fit that for me. So Casson P says, do you think we draft a center? If so, who is best available? I definitely think we do. And I was having a dialogue with Jared Houston on Twitter, and he's basically saying like the O-line room is set. Like you can't add anybody. And I'm not saying this to try and like dog on him, but like I was just like, this is a crazy conversation. But he's basically like, we kept 9 last year, ended up having 8 on the roster, most weeks. And he's like going through the guys, like we already got that many. I was like, well, we'll cut Patterson and add a rookie. That's too many. And then you're going to keep more tight ends. Like, okay, well, we kept 7 receivers last year. You can keep 6 receivers and add more tight ends. And if you keep a tight end, that now puts Blake Fisher in question. But it was kind of not really smart logic to me to say, hey, we got our guys, let's not draft guys. And so, people on here are saying like, we definitely need one. Most people are saying, let's draft 2 offensive linemen. And so like, I get, you don't want to draft them too early to where now if you draft them and now you can't really practice squad them or cut them, like you're invested in them. But I mean, this is a good problem. We finally have depth, but to me, I'll just talk about like the fallout. So like, to me, Jarrett Patterson is when we signed Evan Brown, who is a solid veteran, who's, left guard, right guard, center, about the same level as Patterson, but to me, a better build for this scheme for the downhill duo. He is a little bit shorter, but heavier. So he's stouter. In my opinion, that frame makes sense. So Patterson, when that happened, I was like, okay, this is the writing on the wall for him. For me, people saw it as a Juice Scruggs replacement. For me, it was like, this is Patterson's spot. And then now the Wyatt Teller tells me that, like, now you got, if you include City Sal and I forget the other guy, Jarrett Kingston, I believe. If you include those guys, yeah. So right here, Jarrett Kingston, City Sal. So I mean, you got Ursary, Fisher, Teller, Brown, Patterson, Andrews, Ingram, Smith, Brown. That's 9 for sure out of those. And then obviously you keep more before training camp. You have Kingston and Sal, but they're either like cuts or practice squad. So you got 9, and then you can remove the first one out of those. You say, okay, who do you remove if you want to add a rookie? Patterson. Um, and then I talked about those prior too. After that, who would be the next one to potentially move off of? Blake Fisher. This isn't me vouching for it. I'm just going through a logical thought process. In this conversation with him too, I said that's who I would move next after Patterson. And then he's like, well, why do you think he sucks? Like, I don't think he sucks. I just said I would move on from him. I actually think highly of him, but evidently you can't think highly of somebody, but also think that they could be moved. But so that would be my logic. So you have 9. And even before this happened, like after the Evan Brown signing, I was like, what would happen if you packaged Blake Fisher and Jarrett Patterson together? What would you get in return? Like a 5th, 6th round pick, some kind of player swap. But that's the logic is that coupled with the logic too that Caserio likes to get out in front of things. We see it all the time. Rookies that have 1 year left on their deal that you don't see in your future. If you don't plan on extending them or using them much that last year, you might as well get something in return for them now and clear the cap space. And so obviously Fisher has 2 years left, but like that would be value there. He's also young. He's only 23. And so, but that would allow you, and both of those guys too were drafted under when Bobby Slowick was here. So you wonder how much input Bobby Slowick had. Chris Strausser might have had, the O-line coach previously. To me, they both are more of the zone fit. Like they're lighter guys, more agile guys. They're not the big physically imposing guys. And so there maybe is value for another team. Say, hey, like, yeah, this guy would fit in our system. So you could potentially pair those two together. But like, I would want to do that. I would, if Max Ianakor is there, I would draft him potentially and then move Blake Fisher. And that allows you to do that. And now you develop him, and now you have another tackle of the future. And if Braden Smith flops, or if he gets hurt, or if Ianakor, I'm saying his name wrong, if he becomes a stud and beats Braden Smith out, you could trade Braden Smith, or the next year you only have so much guaranteed money, you could release him the next year. This is just a hypothetical. So this is how he works, dude. Like Caserio likes to be able to do whatever he wants, and so this is what he's doing. But I mean, even too, like, or if you wanted to bring in a center and a guard, and then now you need to make room, and you don't want to just have Blake Fisher rotting and wasting, then you would move off of them. But yes, I think highly of Blake Fisher. I know he had a slow start. He gets a lot of criticism, but if he's only got 2 years left, he's not necessarily a great scheme fit, although he did do good. I can see both sides. I can see us keeping him, and he's young and developing, and maybe he's a potential right tackle of the future after Braden Smith or insurance. But you got Trent Brown for another year. So I think you can think both, and it's not like because you're like open to that idea that means that you think this guy sucks or whatever. But this is a good problem to have. Like, look at that depth, dude. Like Blake Fisher and Jarrett Patterson are now like the bottom. Before it was like City Sal was the bottom. City Sal started a game for us last year. Yeah, so that was the last point on that. Damn, it's still in the top of the 9th, or is it pausing whenever I switch it over? Oh, damn, did they lose? Let's see. They probably lost. Did they lose? They lost. All right, cool. Screw it. Baseball's weak anyways. It's football season. Gonna clear my throat again real quick. I'm gonna mute it. All right. Okay, let's see here. Brandon, Teller, Ingram, Smith, Brown for 40 mil when Tunsil got over 30 and Titus over 20. Yeah, I plan on crunching some numbers. So you got all those players for 10 less, which is insane, dude. Thor, Alpha Aaron has access to information that a lot of other content creators don't have because he's a news person on TV. I don't think it has to do with him being on TV. It has to do with him being in the game for a while, and he's an actual reporter. I'm just a fan analyst. I don't try to be a breaking news insider, but it comes with him having relationships and networking. He works his ass off. Shout out to Aaron. He's friendly with a lot of agents is probably where a lot of that info comes from. Brandon says it's also sets up better long-term O-line room healthy because they can do what good organizations do and take mid or later O-line guys and develop them. Yes, so you can develop. So exactly. So you don't just say, oh, we're set at the 9 guys and we don't want to move anybody, so we're not going to draft anybody. Like, no, you draft them now to Caserio thinking ahead. Okay, hey, you got all these guys on 2-year deals. Right now you have Ursary locked down. He's on a rookie deal. But Ingram, I believe, signed. Was he a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal? I think he was a 3-year deal. But Smith was a 2-year deal, which could basically be a 1-year deal off the guarantees. Teller, 2-year deal, which potentially could be a 1-year deal off guarantees, even though there'd be some dead cap there. And so Andrews, you're not really committed to anything on that. So, you need to get the guy behind now. Like, this is like, I guess us as fans, like, have to like change the way we view the team. Like, when you're still like a bad team emerging and like needing talent all around, as opposed to a good team who has talent all around, but now you're getting picky and now you're pretty much good on the surface. You keep filling up underneath and you're preparing for the future for when those guys go and they want money. Okay, cool. And that's what he did with Laramie, even though he was previous. He had money, wanted more money. All right, cool. Get out. We're going to replace you. But the problem was we had to replace him right now. We didn't have the answer in-house. So we're kind of attempting to prevent that situation from happening. So, and obviously it'll be ever evolving. Everyone talks about, you got Kamari and you got Kalen, you got to pay them and then you replace them or pay them. Like, yes, you're going to have a lot. If you draft good, you'll have a lot of guys that deserve to get paid. And you have to make tough decisions, and you got to keep drafting good and making good deals to supplement that. And he says we can only hope Pop has a lot of influence on the O-line picks. Caserio track record is horrible. I mean, I'm giving Caserio a pass. Like, again, like the Kendon Green was probably obviously a big bust, but as far as like everything else, the Slowick stuff, I can't really knock him on that. To me, it's if I'm going to evaluate him drafting guys in this scheme. DA Rhino, straight blessing. Let's go. Yes, sir. Rishi, remember when we thought 24 linemen was going to be better? I won't believe it until we see it. I mean, it's better, dude. And it's going to be the second year in the system. It's a mix of new guys and continuity. And so the continuity, second year in that scheme, that matters. Shout out Space Age. You're late. No, you're good, bro. Dakota Matthews says, with the FA moves, do you think there is pressure to start rookies immediately? If we draft anybody, no, I think there's no pressure to start anybody, but I think they will play the best player. Crit, they call me. I'd still consider getting a tight end pick 38. I would too. There's a lot of tight ends. So now you can truly play the board. So depending on if like a top tier guy falls, if not, there's a lot of depth late. But let's see, Brandon, can an AI or Photoshop pick of the new O-line and Texans jerseys, maybe more than 5? Steven, you think Tank Dale will be explosive? You think Noel needs more of those targets? I think Tank can get back to there. It might take a little while. Noel, I would like and hope for him to get the targets at slot, but I mean, maybe he isn't ready for the full load. Pause, but maybe he is. I don't know. We'll see. Space Age facts, or he likes to be flexible and get players later in the year too. And Brandon says, will Jose Altuve be the president of Venezuela? Did they show him on TV? That sucks he didn't play for him. Rob, do you think we trade out of the first round after today's move? I mean, we saw a couple years ago where we traded out of the first round before the draft, which was kind of crazy. I don't know if it'll happen before the draft, but I mean, yeah, I could see it as probably likely regardless. But so I think if you had to say, does this move make one of the two more likely? Does us getting Teller make it more likely that we trade up or back? I would say it makes us more likely to trade up because now you have less holes, obviously. And if you have all this capital and you have less holes, you're going to want to get the best player for that hole potentially. And so if I had to pick, I would say it makes you more likely to trade up. I know Lance Zerline, shout out Lance, does a great job with the analysis and his radio show, the NFL.com analysis, the write-ups. He made a point about, I see a lot of people saying to trade up, but you have to remember you got to pay all these guys, Will and CJ, Kamari, Kalen, and you offset that by drafting well. While I do agree to an extent, I kind of disagree with that notion as a whole. The whole, well, we got to pay everybody notion. Like, I used to think like that, and I kind of was enlightened by Texans cap. And now that I've dove into the cap, I kind of understand it more. Obviously, you shouldn't just be reckless and just overspend. But you look at the first point is you look at our draft picks now. Like, I don't even know what they are just off the top of my head, but like, I'm pretty sure one of the picks we have is an extra pick from a trade. So to trade up, you would probably just use an extra pick that you had from the second and potentially like a fourth. And so you really wouldn't, you would use your current first at 28 and a second and like a fourth or something like that. So, I mean, it's like you just basically use a pick that you got from from another trade, from the Tunsil trade or whatever it was. So there's that element, but there's also the element too of, the notion of you got to pay everybody. Like Brett Coleman was saying that too. And I heavily disagreed. And, he made a tweet about you got to pay CJ and Will and all these guys. So to me, their O-line is going to be the same O-line. It's going to be terrible. They can't afford to pay anybody. And we saw a lot of people too, like getting mad with the timeline on the free agency. Like, oh, why did you extend Danielle Hunter? Why did you extend Dalton Schultz? You're taking money for the O-line. Now you can't sign O-line. And guess what? We signed the O-line. Yes, you can. Like, the cap, like when you get a better understanding for it and how Caserio works it and how he set it up, like he does not get enough love, dude. Like, he is probably one of the best at managing the cap. I don't know the other GMs that well, but from like going, real deep analysis into this stuff the past couple of years, Caserio has this team set up very well. Like the same thing that I was frustrated with in the sense that he didn't go all in last year. I want him to go all in. I appreciate now that he didn't, because we are set for a long, sustainable contender path. We have, a large amount of guys under contract in the next 2-3 years, and also a pretty good amount of cap space. So that's value and locking guys down. And he does that by drafting well. He does that by being early, like all these deals, as soon as guys that he knows that they drafted that are good character guys that are swarm, pay them now. And then next thing you know, several months later, next year, they were top of the market. They're now 5th or 6th. Like Nico, he was top 10, top 8. Now he's like 15, whatever he is. Like Stingley, he's below Sauce. It's still top of the market, but like that's going to age lower. And, you do that, you kind of, it's better for the players. There's less, it's not worth the headache, and you get the benefit of the cap going lower. But losing my train of thought, big kind of roundabout thought here. Caserio is a great cap manager. He set it up well. I forgot the initial thought on this. It was, and so this is all about trading up in the first round, the notion of paying players. The point is too about that. We got to pay everybody, whether it's, signing players or whether that means you don't trade up and waste capital, because that capital would help you offset that. Will Anderson and CJ Stroud, they each have 1 year left on their rookie deal. That's 1 year. And then they got a 5th year option because they're drafting the first round. If you're drafting the first round, you can exercise a 5th year option, which, puts them at the top, whatever percentage and a certain pay, which is still very reasonable for both those guys for their position. So that's 2 years until they get paid. And so if you extend them now they're eligible rather than wait till next year and the price goes up. I think he can and will extend both. I mean, for sure will. Anyway, so you have 2 years, and then he has said it in general, like the league does it, and especially for him, that first year on free agents and on extensions is usually the lower cap it, and then you backload the remaining year. So that's 3 years of reasonable cap hits where you're not really feeling the effects from, oh no, huge Will Anderson deal, huge CJ Stroud deal. But like, we're talking about 4 years from now. And so you have 4 years to draft guys. So if you trade capital and lose it, you have 4 years of picks to make up for it. Not to mention, like I said earlier, Caserio will trade guys left and right and create draft capital. He'll trade guys that he knows he won't extend a year or two before their contract expires to get value, and now you can use that to go supplement. So that's part of it. And then there's also the fact that now when the big hits start to happen and say, 4 years from now, 5 years from now for CJ and Will on these mega contracts, then what does he do? He restructures it. So now the cap hits crazy high. Guess what? Restructure it, convert salary to signing bonus, make it low again, kick it down the road. It's like so you have to look at it through that lens. We think first there's like this misconception, like you got to pay him just because they're due that this cap is going to hit tomorrow, today. No, it's going to hit down the road. And then when it does, he's going to flatten that thing out all the way, dude. I know like it sounds annoying and it sounds like it's almost like not smart, but he doesn't abuse it. He does it with only the players, a core, 5 to 10 players that he thinks are like the heart and soul of the team. And he'll stretch it out over time. And now you keep adding void years and restructuring and kicking the can down the road. And what you're doing is you're spreading it out. And then you're also allowing yourself to get the benefit of reaping the rewards of the ever increasing NFL salary cap. Every year, the cap increases by 5 to 10%, whatever it is, like a decent amount, dude. So like you now get the benefit of that. So he's taking advantage of the time value of money by signing the deal today. So these guys are signing deals today. And you also have to think about, okay, if Will signs the top of the market DN deal, let's just say 45 million. I don't know the top of the number right now on top of my head, but it's probably low 40s. But let's just say it's 45 for whatever purposes. And so we're like, oh man, he's getting paid 45 million a year. Yeah, but he's not getting paid 45 million a year until 4 years from now, bro. Like it actually would be 1 year rookie deal, 5th year option cheap, and then that first year of the deal will probably be like, if it's 45, it'll probably be like in the 20s. And then the next year it'll be like a 50 something, because they'll have to make it all math up. So that's not, and then by the time that you actually get that cap hit 4 years from now, what is the APY for that position now? Like it's going to have gone up over 4 years. Now you kind of go back and say, okay, if he were to be a free agent and sign today, like, oh shit, it would be 55, 50. Like, so he's getting the time value of money there. And he's getting the time value of money by spreading it out and allowing the increase to offset it in the salary cap. So that's a long way, a lot of context and nuance to say, I think but you have to pay everybody argument is kind of overhyped and overblown. So, but again, like it is true, like you shouldn't just spend to spend. But if there's a guy that and we know this too, at least in Cacero's mind, that MFer will not get ripped off. He is all value. So like if they go up to get somebody that's their guy and he pays whatever it is, it may seem like a lot to us or them, but he's going to go through and be like, I think this is still good value. And if it is an overpay, it's a marginal overpay to really get somebody you want. So yeah, a lot there on that. What else we got? Brandon, guys like Wyatt Teller and other big names in free agency, late round picks that teams develop. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that like, dude, there's a lot of good linemen and tight ends in the late rounds. Dozen Sweet says you keep Fish past the draft. Then if moving him, wait for a desperate team with training camp. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm kind of like pushing, I'm probably being a little too urgent on Patterson, Fisher, but you can let it play out, and you can keep them on your team too, in case you get injuries. So maybe I'm, a too little antsy on that, but it doesn't hurt to kind of start thinking about that stuff. Darius, why is the LB being drafted mentioned a lot? The defense plays 2 LBs most of the time. We have 6. Top 3 can start, and other 3 are good on special teams. Having 7 LBs is insane, too much, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, again, like the way the roster is constructed, like you now have the luxury where you can maybe do something like that. But I get the point. Running a 4-2, 2 linebackers, Aziz, Henry, EJ, but Aziz is going into the final year. He will and should get an extension. They should do like a 2 to 3 year extension. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's a great linebacker, and he's like entering the prime of his career. But Henry, to me, I know he's been a pretty good linebacker, kind of underrated, and kind of he gets criticized for his pass protection, as he should. But he's a pretty solid player, and he was a late round pick that D'Amico developed out of Bama. He's kind of his guy, but I could see them trying to replace him via the draft. You could get a guy that may not start now, and that now becomes your eventual Will or Sam linebacker to pair with Aziz. So that would be the logic there. So all of our moves now are like guys that we don't have to have today, but we want to have next year or the year after. The linebacker opposite of Aziz would be one, like finding a stud that you can, if he comes in and wins a spot, cool. But if he kind of develops and comes in, because outside after EJ and Henry, like, Jamal Hill still developing. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon as far as being a stud. He was a late round developmental pick. The guy we signed from Baltimore, he's more of a special teams age, Hummel. So, but yeah, so like right now, like the positions of need are ones that we need not today, but in the future, but you want to get it done now. And you're just being proactive and, good about forward thinking. So that would be, the linebacker opposite of Aziz would be one. A tight end to eventually replace Schultz would be one. A defensive end to eventually replace Daniil Hunter would be one. A cornerback now seems to come into play as like, hey, we got Jalen Smith, but is he going to be like the cover nickel? Is he hurt? Is he going to be as good as we thought? I know he was good in camp, but we still have to see it. Do we now value cornerback as somebody too? And maybe he's there in case maybe Kamari's market is insane in a couple years and we can't, mess with it. So, I mean, they were at the pro day today at Nick Casario was the only GM at the South Carolina pro day today. And really their only two prospects are defensive backs. It's Cisse and it's Kilgore, I believe. Who's more of like maybe a safety / corner. So yeah, space. We should get a receiver in late round. Can't depend on Nico and Tank. I'm open to whatever, bro. Like I would prefer, free agency veteran market, but hey, I mean, it's like, this is just a weird position. Like normally I'm nitpicky and like, no, that doesn't fit this. And like, yeah, I mean, we're in such a good spot that like anything is great to me. Like it's going to be so annoying. Like I'm going to be blessing everything. I already do, but shit. Big question mark on Tank. It says doesn't ZZZT Titans curse. They'll leave Houston blue alone. Yeah, the Titans stole our unis. Whatever. I'm kind of over it. I made a tweet about their logo looking like the Tesla logo. They got mad, just making a joke and really an observation. Like, yeah, it's kind of factually correct. And they got all like, oh, why are you so mad? Like, I'm not mad. I don't care, dude. Like, I'm over this whole Oiler baby blue crap. Like, and part of it too is I know with our City Connect jerseys that Hannah is going to find a way to basically have that same uniform. I know there's going to be something up there. And they signed Austin Deculus today, former Texan that we traded to the Chargers, potentially their swing tackle. And so also too, like finishing the article here. I am all over the place today, boys. So hopefully it's not too much to keep up with. I know it's, kind of par for the course, but Jeremy Fowler tweeted, ESPN reporter after that says somewhere in the article, he says Texans with 5 O-line signings in the last 10 days and might not be done. And it's like, okay, like, are we going to sign or trade for a center? Aaron Brewer, the Dolphins are trading guys left and right. They traded Jalen Waddle to the Broncos. Could they trade Aaron Brewer, the center? I'm 99% sure I'm saying it's Aaron Brewer. It's late. I want to make sure I'm not getting his name wrong. Let's see here. But yeah, so he is like a premier center in the league with 1 year left on his deal. It's Aaron Brewer. He is more of a zone scheme center, but that's just what he's been in. He's a little lighter than I would like. But he has some grades where he's graded well in some gap scheme. Maybe he'd be good in that, but like maybe we trade for Aaron Brewer. Like they said they want to upgrade center. I mean, they seem to be kind of all in. Who knows? And so that's something that was on there as well. Let me just go through this article to make sure we can put some finishing bows an hour into this on the Wyatt Teller, and then I can hit the timeline for some other news as far as visits. So yeah, we project him at guard. We talked about Patterson. We talked about Fisher. Let's see here. What else we talk about? So I think that covered it on there. Let me go to, let's see if I can find a couple other old housekeeping news. You guys have already been all over it because y'all are fanatics like me, but in case you're a fan that kind of waits for my long form content for me to give you all the info. We restructured David Montgomery's contract, and this was late last week. And via Aaron Wilson, Texans running back David Montgomery, 2-year upgraded deal, $16.5 million per NFL source, revised contract. It was a revised, not restructured. With the league minimum, with the 6.5 signing bonus million, 1.5 salary guaranteed 2026, up to $500K per game active roster bonus 2027, 7.5 million guaranteed. So he had no guarantee before, gave him guaranteed, and then we upped his APY. So he was making 7.5 million APY, and now it's like 8.25, I believe. And so he got a slight increase in money overall APY, and the big thing was guaranteed money. I know a lot of us were concerned about this because we've had previous moves or times where Caserio was traded for a guy, brings him in, has a great contract, rips it up, and then gives him, like the Stephon Diggs one. We had like a 3-year manageable cap hit, ripped it up, made it a 1-year fully guaranteed high APY. And so we saw that. But the logic on that was, it was one, to make Diggs, who could potentially be, a volatile potential guy if he's not happy, to make him happy. And 2, to give you personally, in case it doesn't work, and out. But again, you can still, I get the criticism with that. Like, why would you rip up the 3-year whatever and give him a 1-year, I believe 18 million, whatever it was. So we were worried here. He's still cheap. I believe I said I went into over the cap. He is David Montgomery is the 17th highest paid running back APY. 17th. He will outperform the hell out of that. He will be at least top 10 in rushing, especially now with this O-line that we're building. I could see him going for 1,200 yards. And while we're on it, let me go to my X profile. We're on David Montgomery and share a video. I found one on the Texans YouTube about David Montgomery. And just listen to this guy, dude. He's a perfect fit for the style, like I mentioned. Big physical back, inside running, but also the mentality. But we missed that dog, that alpha. Well, guess what? We got that. We want that swarm mindset on offense. Listen to this crap right here, dude.
Speed is cool.
He said speed is cool.
Being strong is cool.
Being strong is cool.
But if you meet somebody who look you dead in your eye, he gonna tell you that you can't stop him, and you can't stop him, what that's gonna do to you? That's gonna mess your mind up. I want to
look at his face, dude. He's like talking to some interview. He's like about to fight the guy, dude.
be that guy.
I'm sorry, I'll play it again. I interrupted.
Speed is cool. Being strong is cool. But if you meet somebody who look you dead in your eye, he gonna tell you that you can't stop him, and you can't stop him, what that's gonna do to you? That's gonna mess your mind up.
Ooh.
I want to be that guy.
He's a dog.
Speed is cool.
Golly. Dude, home run. I told y'all, we said it on here. He would be a home run addition. I am so hyped for David Montgomery. Now he's running behind Wyatt Teller, Braden Smith. I mean, you could even have hopefully a better center. Ed Ingram. I mean, Ursery. Like, bro, like, are you kidding me? I am so hyped right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, you were worried, Joe Mixon, we traded for him, did the same thing and changed the deal, but really was still a good APY. But yeah, so there was an article on that, just to get you caught up on that. And then the Evan Brown news we kind of talked about. I'll just skim through this article to see if there's any points that I may have missed. Versatile veteran guy. He's not awesome, but he's average. He's better than Laken Tomlinson, I would say, who was our starter last year, with more upside. I mentioned scheme fit could be a thing. So that was pretty much it on that. I said it could spell trouble for Jarrett Patterson, which we talked about. And let's see. Yeah, so that was pretty much the news that we had since then. Okay, cool. Cap Calculator. Let's check it out. I'll share this tab instead. So now we are at 13.25 million. Shout out Andrew. We've been working on this. It's an estimate, based on details that come out, and we kind of like use equations to figure, okay, if this is the supposed reported contract, then, how much is, guaranteed, how much is base salary. And this year we try and do our best to figure it out. But so we're currently at 13.25. So this does not include a draft hold, which would be however much money you need to hold in place for when the draft happens to pay those draft guys, which, Texans cap usually uses a number around 4 to 5 million. So you could say, okay, if you took that out, you would be 13 million. But if you were to put the draft cap in there, it'd be 8 to 9 million. So that's something to think of. And then if you still wanted to sign somebody, to a $5-6 million deal, you'd have a couple $1 million left. And then the next thing would be, having a stash on hand for in season for when injuries happen. You probably want to have another, I don't know what the number is. I'll have to, see what cap does in the past, but probably 5-10 million. It wouldn't hurt to have it because you can always carry it over to the next year if you don't use it. And so if that's the case, you start to think, okay, well, if we want to do some of this stuff, we got to make some money. We got to make some cap, not money. Well, then come on here and do it. You can manage players. We've talked about it. I don't have a hard on or inkling or whatever for Patterson. Just right now it makes sense. So we'll do the cut. Gives you 3.6. I think Aziz still needs to get extended. You could extend Aziz. Something you're going to do anyways, gives you 7.6. I think we should extend Nico Collins, or you could restructure him. It may be kind of out of line to, extend him with 2 years left, but I think you should. We'll do that. That just saves, and these are the max. So like, it'll give us an estimate of like the max. Let's leave it at that. And we'll go to, now we're at 39 million. Boom. We're good. And guess what? You do these moves. And if you don't use it all, you can carry it over. So you don't want to go and just do this all at once and have all this money. You want to kind of do it as you go, because you don't want to have too much. You don't want to have to make these moves if you don't have to. So that's there. Let's see here. Jonathan Brickman, it helps having a coaching staff that maximizes potential from players. Exactly. On defense, we've seen that. So offense, are we starting to see it? We'll see. But yeah, that is a big point about being able to sustain contender and all that stuff. Sorry. 119 dozen. I can remember when Coleman made a big hype video about how great Ryan Mallett, RIP, was going to be. Oh, man. RIP Mallett. Space Age. Yes, Tank looks good in workouts. Thor, Dolphins done through in the towel, and the season hasn't even started yet. Brandon, you can't go broke signing good deals, only bad ones. Facts. Brandon, also all the teams that want to talk mess about us probably having to pay CJ are only 1 year behind us or have paid QBs already. Facts. Rob, do you feel finishing first or second seed is a must this season? I feel like it's always a must. I think it's, I wouldn't say it's a must, but I think it would obviously help. But yeah, I mean, you look at last year, if we had Reed Blankenship instead of CJ Gardner-Johnson, do you win those first 3 games that CJ Gardner-Johnson gave up a touchdown in each of those games and you lost in 1-score games? Are you now the number 1 seed? Are you now playing New England and Houston and not a blizzard? And do you win that game? And then do you play Denver without boat? So yeah, in that lens, yes. Yeah, it should be top priority. Rodriguez and Trotter are dogs at linebacker. I agree, dude. There's so many players now. Now I got to go watch everybody. Thor is a Tech fan first. I want us to get either Hunter or Rodriguez because both are top-notch players. Jaquan Demise, what's up, brother? He says, you think lineman we picked up is pretty solid? Hell yeah, dude. I think they're really good, especially compared to the past. I mean, maybe not, all pro, but pretty damn good, and they fit what we want to do. So I'm excited. Space says, I know most will probably disagree, but I really want McDonald at 28 if he's available. So, I am getting analytical on that. Last year I was like, we need a one tech, a bigger over the center A-gap defensive tackle to take on double teams and stop the run, because we've only had Foley Fatukasi really with D'Amico Ryans, and he's been like a cheap veteran. But given the scheme, the wide 9 scheme, we literally have we just love 3 techs. Like we rarely have guys go over center to 2-eye or to a 1 tech or to a 0. It's usually a 3 tech or 4 or a 5, and then even then Tommy Togiai, while he's not a big guy, he's insanely strong for his size. He can do some of that when you need it. So if we were to get a guy, it's not and then if you were to have that guy, we only use that so many snaps a game. So you don't want to invest a first, second, third round pick or sign a free agent in that position, in my opinion. So, I think Caden McDonald is a guy who kind of fits, like he leans more towards a nose tackle than an actual 3-tech. I believe there's Big Citrus from Iowa State's kind of like that. There's a couple guys. And so if you go on PFF and look at it, you can look at, their snap alignments. So I think that they will probably get a 3-tech, and that'll be another rotational guy. But right now it's Sheldon and Tommy starting, and you got Naquan Jones. So you could definitely add another one there. Logan Hall can rush from the inside on passing downs. But yeah, but I think Togiai is that run stopper as a 3-tech. Tommy Togiai is a superstar, guys. Tommy Togiai is a superstar. They need to extend him right now. They need to sign him. That guy is a super. They're like watching the film last year, like towards the end of the year. This guy was insane. Like whenever Tim Settle got hurt, miss you, Tim. Good luck in Washington. Togiai was balling, dude. And then Brandon could see Casera giving Nico a 1-year extension to make it a 3-year contract. Oh, that's a good point. Kind of like he's tacking on these 1 years for a 1 year with some guaranteed money. He's kind of like he's doing with Hunter and Schultz. Takeover says, I think Ursi would develop better with an established guard next to him. That's a good point. Couple little finishing things here. I guess we'll just go to my timeline. Let's see if I missed anything else. And let's see here. Let's see. This is pretty funny. Sammy Franco, who I partnered with on the shirt, on the Caserio shirt. If you want to get at the site, HoustonStressans.com. Caserio been shopping. That's pretty funny. O-line RS. That's a pretty good meme by him. Colts signed a basketball player. That's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got. Going down the line. Oh, yeah. People thought Caserio just sitting on his ASSS and not doing anything. Here, his Wyatt Teller's agent, NFL agent Andy, on Instagram today. And he basically says they've been working on the deal for over a week.
Well, breaking news. Wyatt Teller going to the Houston Texans on a 2-year deal. I've been working on this for a whole week now. So big things for Wyatt and Carly and the rest of the family. Very excited for them. Actually at the car dealership waiting for my car to be fixed. Yeah, pumped up, man. Pumped up for Wyatt. Go to Houston, bolster that O-line, win some games, and hopefully a Super Bowl. So congrats to Wyatt. Well, breaking news.
Guy kind of reminds me of Bagwell. And Takeover says Aaron Wilson said that we had interest in Teller, pivoted to Jenkins, and then went back to Teller. That would be Elton Jenkins. I mean, that's great to hear. I like all of those options. And you didn't overpay in their eyes, which, Elton seemed kind of cheap, but there are some injury concerns there. Melissa Allen, a tight end basketball player that's never played in any football game ever. Yeah, pretty hilarious. Jerome, we should do a mock draft. We can do one this week. Jerome says he's late. We'll do our collective mock draft 2.0 later this week. And I will, my nephew is a huge football fan. He's 8 or 9, lives in Dallas, Cowboys fan and Texans fan. His generation, like, they love YouTube, all over YouTube. He thinks I'm the coolest guy ever. He brags to my friends oh, my uncle's famous. He does Texans YouTube stuff, and he loves football and YouTube. But I saw him in town for spring break, and he said he wanted to come on my show. And I said, yeah, I'll do an interview with you. So I'm gonna have my nephew Ramsey on probably Friday, during the day, and I'll interview him. And he knows ball, bro. I'm gonna ask him about players. I was talking to him. He's like, who do you think? Or he's like, what did he say? He said, where do you think that DeAndre Hopkins will go? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, maybe the Chargers. They got a lot of cap space. Oh yeah, that's a good point. They might go there. I was like, dude, how do you know what cap space is, bro? He's like, oh, YouTube, man. I'm like, all right, cool. So we'll have him on, and we'll learn ball from him and ask him about all his favorite Madden players and stuff. So yeah, we'll get some more content for you guys. Jake Andrews or Jake Slaughter. for center. Obviously battle it out, but Jake Slaughter got to interview him at the Senior Bowl. Jake Slaughter, bro. Melissa says, I'm liking Nick cooking. Facts. He is cooking. And then, I'm making sure I'm kind of swaying him over to Texans. Brandon, I respect people who take less to come to the Texans more than players to join the Browns for a bigger paycheck. That's a shot at Titus, but I saw people judging the moves by Caserio today, because I made the post about like people were saying that us, extending Hunter and Schultz means that you can't get linemen, and they're like, oh well, we meant like expensive linemen. I was like, well, what lineman do you mean? Tyler Lindenbaum? He went for $27 million APY. He was never an option. And so now all of a sudden, like these guys are too cheap. We got too good of deals, and if they're that cheap, then they must suck. It's like, no, dude, like it's just like it can never be a win with some people. Like, yeah, we got great players at great deals, and just because they came here at this price doesn't mean that was the highest and best offer. That's not how all these players are, especially if you're a veteran, you're getting older. There is a tax for crappy teams like the Browns. And there's also a tax for teams that have a state with state income tax. So we're a good team, and we're a good team with no state income tax. So you're much more likely to take probably a couple million less at least to come here, potentially, depending on the person, stage of their career. So that's that logic about, well, if we got that guy for that much, he must suck. No, that's just dumb logic. Legend to you. Thoughts on Jonah Coleman to learn from Monty? Love it, dude. Love Jonah Coleman. Perfect fit for this offense. We can do whatever we want. You want to take him? Take him. If he starts sliding late second, early third, take him, dude. But back to the timeline. This was pretty sick. I'll have to mute it. There's a video from Wyatt's wife, Carly Teller, and as soon as he found out he was a Texan, he was out on his porch listening to George Strait in his cowboy boots, and looks like he's drinking a glass of whiskey. So great to see. I'm so sorry at this mucus sinus stuff, guys. Going down timeline, and dude hunts alligators. I got my Caserio tee. Let's see what else we missed. What else we got on here? Oh, that was pretty funny. Like an hour before the news, I posted like, do you guys think we're going to sign Wyatt Teller? And we signed him. Everyone's like, yep. It's a mystery. That's pretty funny, dude. Got to manifest it. We'll just keep going down. So, we were at, Brandon Cisse, Nick Caserio, only GM there, South Carolina. So we can go to that too. We can go to the free agency tracker, obviously on the site. If you want to check this out, Wyatt Teller on here, 2-year, 23 max, $16 million base. And then you got Evan Brown on there, Montgomery restructure, and then the drafts. And now we're going to start pivoting this way. Draft tracker, shout out Texans Takeover. We've been all over this. We've had some new players added. Some of the new names was recently Mekhi Lemon at the Pro Day from USC, which is interesting. And these don't always translate into, them being drafted. Obviously, there's a lot of names on here. But I want to do like some research on like the last year and find some correlations and maybe do like a probability. But and obviously it might change as you acquire guys in free agency on guys that might come. But they met with Adam Randall from Clemson today, which is like a former receiver, like a 6'3", 6'2", like 230 receiver, like a bowling ball receiver who became a running back. They met with him. They're planning a top 30 visit with him. And then the other new ones were Gabe Akis from Illinois, edge rusher, who kind of is a heavy-handed rusher like Daniil. He's obviously not Daniil's level. So, go in there and check out the names, and you can see the type, pro day, formal, informal, or the combine at the Shrine Bowl, wherever it was, top 30, all that good stuff. So, a lot of good stuff there. And then let's see. So, Adam Randall. He's 6'3", 232. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything good for you guys. I'm just going to scroll down. This is pretty much towards the end here. There's Altuve's face from the other day. Damn, dude. USA lost to Venezuela. And the Rockets the other day looked terrible. Oh, my gosh. I haven't been watching a ton of them. I kind of like follow the box scores. I'm like so into Texans. But I turned it on for that second half, fourth quarter. Some of the worst basketball I've seen in my life on both ends. I know there's no Şengün, but like, man, that was bad. Yeah, Jaden Higgins still in the lab. That guy's working his butt off every day. I expect a big year for him. Christian Kirk signed with the Niners at $6 million APY. I believe his previous APY was like $18 million or something crazy. So I mean, went down quite a bit. See if there's anything else I got on here that I can kind of fill in the cracks just to make sure everyone's staying in tune. I think we're almost good here. EJ Speed working out. I had an interview with Greg Allman from Fox Sports, who covers the Bucks. If you haven't checked it out on my YouTube, asking him about Logan Hall, a lot of good insight there. And then let's make sure we get the rest. I think we're kind of getting down to make sure I got everything for you guys, but I think that about wraps it up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Over the weekend was kind of slow. Monday was kind of slow. Today was kind of slow. And I made a tweet. I was dragging ass today, dude. I was just so tired, just getting through the day. And then boom, Wyatt Teller. I'm like, let's go, dude. Like ever since then, I've been hyped. It's like a Casero could just like give me these little dopamine injections. Just give me something each day to kind of, instead of me having to abuse coffee or caffeine, just give me some good Texans news each day, Casario, and I'll get through the day and be very productive. But yeah, I'm going to partner up on a stream with Texans Takeover soon. In the life of Colby in the draft, I would continue to build on the O-line and add a bunch of playmakers on offense primarily. I could see them load up defense too, bro. Like our defense is already better than it was last year. And then it's still not done improving. They can now add edge and nose tackle. Like it is scary, dude. Scary. This team, and oh my God, like I know we've been hyped for years. Like this is the year. I still think CJ is the guy without a doubt. And like I already thought, regardless of all the moves that were going to happen, he was going to have a better year and ball out. Like now it's like he's for sure going to have a great year, dude. Like it's going to be great. Rich Boy J, you make being a fan of the Texans a lot more fun. I appreciate that. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm positive and I'm excited. I love the Texans. I'm one of us. Rich Boy J, Space Age, same here. Weather killing me softly. I would trade up for Sadiq personally. Yeah, I mean, I would trade up for Sadiq. I don't know if I would trade up for Vega now, potentially. I don't know. I got to kind of reassess like who I wouldn't trade up for. But yeah, that's all I got. Any more questions before I go? A nose tackle stream coming soon. Melissa Allen, CJ has tank back and protection. Yep. And a run game. He will have a run game. Yes, pass protection. A run game, bro. Like we averaged -1 yards in the playoffs against New England. Of course, he was down Nico. He was down Schultz. And then he had Christian Kirk, who finally played his best game against Pittsburgh, was MIA, like dropping passes. Like he had no one to throw to. He was throwing to freaking Stover and Harrison Bryant, bro. Like those guys that we saw, that offense on the field that we saw that last week will be completely different. I think they should shed the tight end room. I think Stover, I think even Brevin potentially, even though I know you re-signed him, should be on the potential chopping block. You got to upgrade tight end, dude. You already brought in Foster Moreau. I think you got to bring in another tight end, dude, and no more Mr. Nice Guy playing around like, hey, we give you a couple years, it's not panning out, boom. Like it's up. Like we gotta make this thing as solid as we can from top to bottom, every position, every depth, everyone on the roster. So, but yeah, that's all I got, man. Appreciate it. Miss you guys. Love you guys. I don't know if I'll go tomorrow. I'll try to go. I know I'm sporadic. Just be on the lookout. I'll be spontaneous. I might do like an interview one random day between now and next week with the guy from, I believe, the UFL. I should know the league. He messaged me. Talk to him about that. I might try and get some more other analysts like from the Saints and talk about the 2 Saints signings, or maybe get somebody from the Browns to talk about Wyatt Teller potentially. Trying to get more stuff like that. But as always, check out the site. I got the free newsletter, been sending those out more, so you can subscribe right here up top. Let's see here. Right there. You can subscribe at the top right here. Subscribe, free newsletter. Again, it's sporadic. It's not really a schedule. And then as well as there's a creators tab where I have all the content creators on here, or even journalists, all their info if you need to find someone to follow. I revamped the videos tab. If you, after this, you can't sleep and want to watch Texans, go to here. I got a playlist with my stuff. I got interviews. I got draft prospects. I got D'Amico. I got, analysis. I'm going to add to like all the channels, like all the content creators channels. So it can all be right here, but you can just literally click on something like here's Stutes and Locker, and it's boom, it's right there within the deal. And you can see all their info, and you can kind of scroll through. You can go to the next one, go back. Just trying to make it easier to be a fan. Got all the players, different people on there. Any recommendations, let me know. And then, the store, check out if he's back in vogue now. Your boy Casario is back in vogue. Get you a tee. Plenty of other tees, too. And if you got any ideas for shirts, let me know. I can make some more ones. What do you guys think about this? I had this thought earlier, and it might be cheesy. And I know Stroud is kind of, people are hot and cold, but Stroud is number 7. Teller, 77. Get like a photo. It's like Lucky Sevens or something. It's like a slot machine, 777. I don't know. Let me know. And Brandon says, and maybe when it's complete, a list of all available full Texans game on YouTube. Yes, I can work on that. And then Colby, I know I probably speak for all of us, but I really appreciate what you and Texans Takeover do, of course. And I am going to, I'll probably do it this week. I'm trying not to get too much info, but roll out like a membership deal. And my approach will be, I'll give you options and tiers. It won't come with anything initially. It'll just be a way to support me and everything I do. I put a lot of time and money and energy and effort into this. And that way we can keep the content free for everybody. I don't want to do it. If I start doing premium, which I may do some stuff down the road, it just creates more work for me essentially. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's all I got. I appreciate y'all. If you have anything, just let me know. Until next time, we blessed.